What's new? It's Blue. Hey guys, today we're doing a suggestion of my list of redesign recommendations. So today is, drumroll, Fate, the Winx Saga. So not the Winx Club series, Fate the Winx Saga, like the flop Netflix show specifically. So I was a Winx kid growing up. Like, these sparkly transformers scratch my brain. I love them so much. So when I saw that the live action was bastardizing yet another childhood piece of media, you guys know I had to step in. I had to be the father that stepped up. So I think we're familiar with the program by now. I'm going to put my own blue spin on the plot, redesign the mains, and change the plot up how I want, and we'll see how it goes. And again, just to be clear, I'm redesigning the show Fate the Winx Saga, not Winx Club. But I do want to obviously include homages because that's what it is based off of. And I feel like the show tried to kind of like include homages to the original cartoon in like a very like pandery way. Like, it's obviously just trying to make you watch it and prey on your nostalgia like vampires. And you know that if it's a blue redesign video, we're going to blast it with a queer ray gun and a transgender ray gun until it's completely unrecognizable, because that's how we like it. So yes, if you haven't seen any of my other redesign videos, character design videos, I have a little playlist on my channel page, so go check it out. And I also remembered lmaoo's video where she did her redesign and like dream recasting for the show, but in like a live action sense. And that was in the back of my mind while drawing these girlies up aesthetically, but not that I necessarily like copied what she did. It's just I really love that video in general. It's a comfort video, so when I thought of redesigning Fate the Winx Saga, that's like a classic video in my opinion. Also, Shan Spears videos about it, I really like those. And be sure to watch to the end to see all the finished products. And also please check the description for donation resources. And in my Instagram highlights, I have information on the current goings on in Palestine, Sudan, Congo, everything, because it's important that we stay aware. And if you're able to donate, please donate. And if you can't, then you can just share the links on whatever platforms you may have. Anything is important. These are really trying times. We're all going through it, but it's gonna be okay, guys. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So first off, the titular main character, Bloom. In my mind, it just makes sense to have her be like the initial like view through which the audience is exposed to all of the fairy shenanigans, you know, because she's coming from a similar background as, like, you know, the viewer would be a human being exposed to all of this like fantastical stuff, you know, kind of like an isekai-esque stuff. So Bloom, her whole life has struggled with anger issues and slight pyromania. She's just like a fire girly. She's like, ooh, fire. She wants Fire's nachos bad. Like, anyways, after a very intense argument with her mother one day, she sets the house on fire in her sleep in a very large display of accidental magic. And this alerts the people at the school Althea of there being a changeling in the human realm. So I just thought for Bloom to kind of like keep this like interesting line of her having always had issues with like her temper, like very emotional, and strange things would happen when she would get really angry or really sad or really happy, that kind of thing. I just like the idea of that, and she couldn't control it. And as she got older, the strange things that would happen would get bigger and bigger until this final big event where it was like scarring, because she was like, I almost hurt my parents unintentionally, you know. And like in the show, it looked like she was literally trying to kill those people on purpose. Like, I'm not gonna lie, she like sat up in bed and she like, there was a string of fire that went straight to the mom's side of the bed first, and I'm like, that was calculated. But anyways, but yeah, so that's Bloom. Then we have Aisha. So obviously she was one of the mains, the water fairy. Her whole thing was water, and they let you know by dressing her only in blue and nothing but blue. But I'm not one to judge, because if you couldn't tell, blue is kind of my whole thing. One thing I guess if I'm really reaching and trying to give the show the benefit of the doubt, you kind of can pick up on the fact that she's a little bit of a people pleaser, but rather than a people pleaser, she's a bloom pleaser, because they literally make Aisha Bloom's nanny in the show. And I have a lot of thoughts about that, but it's okay. I'll keep them to myself, don't worry guys. But anyways, I wanted to kind of lean into the people pleaser aspect. I think that would be very interesting, because Aisha's kind of a high achiever. She kind of has this urge to prove her worth, that kind of thing, hence the people pleasing. So how it would manifest, I imagine, would be mainly academically, and in this sense academic applies to like magic. She has very high standards for herself. She gets kind of weird enough for someone who aims so high. She can be a bit sensitive, like she doesn't take failure well at all. She takes failure quite personally, actually, which is not good for you. So I imagine that her and Musa, because again, like I said, I blasted everyone with a gay ray gun. So I was like, let's make her and Musa in love, because why not? Oh yeah, she's also like 16 going on 17. That just feels like the age that the characters are like kind of trying to be, in the show. So I think that makes sense. And like I previously mentioned, Musa is Bloom's roommate, and Musa really likes Aisha. And fun enough, Aisha is like the one person who she struggles to read her emotions, because Aisha is a people pleaser. She's like so people pleasery that she's so aware of her emotions at all times that she like hides them really well. So if anything, Musa kind of notices like, what is this girl feeling? And that's like the one person that she actually cares. Okay, let me not be dramatic, but she actually wants to delve into how she's feeling, because Aisha is just very good at like compartmentalizing her feelings to her own detriment, because she thinks so much about other people and not really much about herself. So she also likes Musa, which is why she makes an extra effort to compartmentalize around her. And I just actually like how I kind of made the dynamic, but maybe I'm biased because I just love gay people. But anyways, that's Aisha. And since we mentioned her just now, next is Musa. And Musa's whole thing, again, in the show, I really liked the development of her empathy powers, or rather the depiction. No, I liked it on paper. The execution looked kind of goofy. Like, it just didn't look like as appealing. Like, she would just, her eyes would glow and she'd be like, OMG, you're sad? Okay, the old British. She'd like, her eyes would glow and she'd be like, you're sad? I'm sorry. But either way, all I'm saying is that I quite liked the empathy powers. I think that's very interesting. So leaning into that, like I said, I also feel like they open up the door for so much sweet character developing trauma. But yes, I feel like she gets overwhelmed easily, and she tends to then distance herself from people, tends to want to be alone. In the show, we see that white woman Tara trying to get in her face all the time, being like, why can't we be alone together? And it just came off as really weird, because it's like, that this girl is like overstimulated 24/7. Like, imagine how overstimulating that is. It's like Edward Cullen, but like if he couldn't switch it off, or like if he couldn't tune out of people's feelings, which is why she would wear her headphones a lot, which I guess was an homage to the music aspect of her original Winx Club character. But either way, I like the idea of that, and that she kind of is, people's feelings are often forced upon her. And if anything, not always maliciously, but sometimes people just forget that, you're forcing your feelings on her. And like the one person who shows her any consideration in that regard is, funny enough, the one person who she'd actually like to know more about. So I just like that idea of them kind of having like a cat and mouse thing going on, and I feel like they can get to know each other a lot and they complement each other well. Where Aisha's very kind of like uptight in a way, Musa's kind of more laid back. I just think they would balance each other out well. So those two, I've mainly talked about them in relation to each other, but I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. But power-wise, Musa is also in kind of a similar boat as Bloom, emotionally charged magic. And for Musa, it's more just finding out how to manage it and how to gain better control of it, because if she doesn't, she'll literally just like do something crazy or like jump off a bridge or something. I don't know. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean? Just like it's like imperative for her own health that she gain control of this, because it can drive you crazy basically. So that's Musa. Now for Flora, and notice that I emphasize Flora, not Tara, Flora, because the fact that they actually tried it, like, it's actually so egregious. You hoodwink me, you whitewash a beloved character right before my very eyes, and you expect me to not notice. And then when people obviously complain, then they're like, okay, Flora's her cousin. Bitch, why didn't you just give us Flora in the first place? But anyways, I'm fixing it now. Don't worry, Blue's here. Guys, it's okay, Blue's here. And I'm here to fix it. Okay, so Flora, I like the idea of her being like a little bit socially unaware and very chatty in the show. That seemed to be kind of what they were trying to do, but it didn't come across super well. Flora just came... Oh, what is her name? Tara just came across like kind of annoying, and also people were like really mean to her, and it's like, what is happening? And trust, I'll get to the fashion. Like, even that, like, could you not find any plus-sized Hispanic women? There are many beautiful plus-sized Hispanic women. But anyways, I'm getting to that. So Tara's whole thing was obviously that she was socially unaware and like would kind of talk a lot, right? And people would sometimes ignore her, which was pretty mean, I will admit. So I like the idea of keeping her that way, like kind of keeping her a bit oblivious to social cues. And I just like the idea of that. I want to give her a bit more firmness within herself, because Tara's self-esteem in the show is like so low, and I'm like, oh my god, stand up. But anyways, she's a plant girl obviously, and I wanted to include some of the OG Winx Club personality. Flora was so like sweet and gentle and soft-spoken, and she was like so like like she was fish, like she was so feminine, right? And like she was very like sweet and airy fairy, but not in a bimbo-ish way, if that makes sense. So I want to tie that in as well. And I'd like to imagine that like she gets really chatty about her interests, and that she can be a bit spacey with other things, and like, you know, be a bit clumsy, but like with the stuff that she likes, like plants, herbalism, botany, like she locks in. She's like, girl, I know about this. And fashion wise in the show, it's like the thinking was, okay, you're a plus size woman, let's make you wear a gray curtain and call it a day. And I'm like, that in itself feels offensive. Like, what? All you have to do is go on Pinterest and search, and you know, plus size people can have senses of style. Like the way that they dressed her just felt like all of the outfits were bad, but like Tara's felt especially bad, if that makes sense. Like they would literally not even try and like point to her original personality with the outfits that she'd wear. They'd make her wear dungarees. Oh my goodness, why is she wearing dungarees? But anyways, I really want to lean into her being very, very feminine. Flora in the show, I was looking at a little spread of her outfits throughout, I think, season 1 or 2, and she wore a lot of pinks and pink and green. She's just so pretty. I love it. And yeah, so I also remembered in the OG Winx Club, she her boyfriend at the time, Helia, and those two are a really cute couple. And Helia was a long-haired baddie. So I included Helia in my thought palace of redesigning this plot, except I blasted them with a non-binary beam because I said so. And in my mind, these two are like the person X talks a lot and person B listens dynamic, because Flora's like a yappa about her hyperfixation. But yeah, that's Flora. Then the last of the mains is Stella. So Stella in the original show, she was definitely kind of like bimbo-ish. Like she was like kind of a nice offset of the usual like, oh, pretty girl, mean girl stereotype. From what I remember, Stella was actually pretty nice and she was very kind, you know. Maybe she would give off an aura of like, OMG, she's a mean girl, but that wasn't her at all. So in the show, when they made her like this like weirdo blinding people over boys, I'm like, like Stella would not be doing all of that. Like, don't play with me right now. So if you've noticed, I haven't mentioned Sky at all. I'm so sorry. Like, maybe that's a weakness of mine. Like, whenever I just get annoyed by like when I'm doing redesigns and stuff like that, if I'm getting annoyed by a character, I'm like, you will cease to exist, because I'm like, I don't even know what to do with you, boy. Like, maybe you'll be a side character if I ever want to draw these redesigns ever again. But we'll see. Anyways, in the show, they kind of hinted towards it, but not that we get any sort of satisfying development, but whatever. She is the Solarian princess and she has extreme mommy issues. So see, that's so much to work with, but it's like, girl, you people are doing nothing with it. So in my Stella's version, I literally wrote down bimbo with mommy issues, and I think that just encapsulates her a lot. I love a good bimbo with mommy issues. Like, it's so real, it's so fetch, it's all the things. It's the most ever. And I imagine that because she's a Solarian princess, she doesn't really trust people. In the past, people have tried to speak to her just because of her status, that kind of thing. She tends to hold people at a distance, you know, that kind of thing. She's emo. But being with the girlies in the Winx thing, especially like someone like Bloom, but like telling her I'm a Solarian princess, she's like, okay, that doesn't really do anything for me. It's like, oh, period. And she's very hard on herself to be good. Like, her and Aisha have that in common, I guess. Like, she's always been pressured by her mother to be the best, but in her heart, she feels like she's really mediocre, which is really sad. So she kind of has an inferiority complex, which can make her a little bit, you know, spicy with people. Not that I'm trying to make her like a perfect little angel, but you know, just making it a little bit better. So yeah, that's Stella. So now the reworked plot. Bloom arrives at Althea High with Headmistress Dowling and is assigned to a sweet dorm containing the other Winx girlies. So Headmistress Dowling found her once she released that powerful bout of magic in the human realm when she was arguing with her mother, and Bloom really scared herself. So Headmistress Dowling helped her come up with an excuse to leave to a fancy boarding school and wada, you know, that whole thing. So in this dorm, sweet dorm, her and Musa are like roommates in one section of it, because both of them have very volatile emotion-based magic and are both getting special lessons from Dowling. So Bloom and Musa bond a lot. She gets a lot of just like introductory fairy lore because she really feels out of place, not knowing much of like the things that other people here have just grown up with, you know. She's kind of like a muggle born. Not to bring up Marauders, but she's like a muggle born. But anyways, so she gets more info about the fairy world, and they explain to her the practice of leaving changeling babies in the human realm, and that was outlawed because it was so cruel. For like, literally, why are you doing that? That hurts the child, that hurts humans. It's just a horrible time for everyone. So As they bond more, Bloom sees how Musa's empathy powers really drag on her, and she tries to learn more about Musa, and in turn it kind of teaches her more about her own emotions, you know. And then Bloom starts bonding with the other sweet mates because Aisha hangs around Musa a lot, obviously, because, you know, are you limp wrist? And Flora also kind of just helps everyone bond because they find her endearing, and she's like a social balm, you know. She's not gonna be perturbed by awkwardness. She's a good icebreaker, basically. So all of them band together to try and help Bloom because she's frustrated with the fact that she like feels so behind magically. And the mystery of who left her in the magic world is brought up more and more, and the more that she actively taps into her magic, the more that it's revealed, as she's getting a bit better and better connecting to it intuitively, because every time she has before, it's almost been like the magic kind of takes her over, but she's getting the hang of like remaining like grounded and firm and not letting her magic control her, if that makes sense. And the more she does that, the more kind of flashes she gets strange dreams, and she sees flashes of whoever left her in the human realm, and she's now wondering why. So she tells the girlies, because she's like, okay, listen, besties, this is going on. And in classic YA teen fashion, I'd imagine she only tells them because obviously telling your fellow kids who really can't do that much is better than telling a capable adult. So also, she just feels like Dowling wouldn't really tell her the truth. She gets the sense that Dowling is hiding something, which fair enough. So hijinks ensue, and the burned ones are starting to pop up again, that around the time that Bloom has now come to the school, and it's like, girl, what is going on? So that's literally what I've cooked up so far. Again, I actually really liked the normal plot of Fate the Winx Saga. I just tweaked literally a few things, blasted people with like a gay gun, and and removed the stupid side plots which were pissing me off so bad. So that's literally all that I did. And I'll catch you guys at the outro. As always, thank you for watching till the end. And if you got this far, comment 3 or 1 fairy emoji, since we're talking about fairies today. And here are all the pieces. If you like this video, don't forget to like this video, comment, share, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to keep up with me and so you don't miss any future uploads. And please keep up and keep educated about what's happening in Gaza right now. I'm sure if you've been keeping up with it, you've seen the ceasefire deal, but now more than ever, we need to keep our eyes on it. We need to stay aware because the job isn't done and Palestine still isn't free. So now more than ever, we need to give our support in whatever way we can. In these times, with all the changes happening politically, please stay safe, please take care of yourselves. And if I can even make you laugh a little bit or take your mind off of things a little bit, then I'm happy. And see you guys next time. Bye.